Do you know which condiment is often called the greatest culinary deception in history? It's wasabi, that bright green, pungent paste familiar on the plates of sushi lovers everywhere. But in reality, most of the time, it isn't wasabi at all. So how is it possible that more than 95% of products labeled wasabi worldwide are mass-produced and sold every year, even though they're actually just horseradish dyed green? And what does real wasabi truly look like, and how is it made? The journey of authentic wasabi is completely different. Behind its seemingly delicate nature lies a meticulous farming craft that demands strict control over crystal-clear, oxygen-rich flowing water and stable temperatures for more than a year and a half before harvest. Once harvested, the fresh wasabi rhizomes are grated directly on traditional shark skin graters just before serving, a guarantee of their original flavor, untouched by additives or substitutes. Today, join Agriculture Insight as we venture into the hidden wasabi farms beneath Japan's forest canopies, discovering why this plant is considered one of the most difficult and expensive crops in the world, and why connoisseurs relentlessly seek out its authentic flavor. Used as a prized medicinal herb as early as the 8th century, wasabi did not truly become the soul of sushi until the Edo period, when its remarkable ability to preserve raw fish was discovered. In an era long before refrigeration, wasabi's powerful antibacterial properties helped prevent food poisoning and eliminate the fishy odor of raw seafood, laying the foundation for Japan's culture of fresh, raw cuisine. What makes wasabi particularly fascinating is that its heat is completely different from that of chili peppers. While chili peppers create a lingering burn on the tongue, wasabi produces a sharp, pungent sensation that rushes straight up the nose and fades away within seconds. This distinctive kick often leads people to believe that wasabi is made from some kind of spicy leafy vegetable. In fact, it belongs to the Brassicaceae family, the same family as cabbage, mustard, and horseradish. Plants in this family produce unique pungent compounds that give wasabi its unmistakable flavor. Bold yet clean, intense yet fleeting, a taste that no other condiment can truly replicate. Yet there is a striking reality. The entire world produces only about 5,000 tons of real wasabi each year. A drop in the ocean compared with the more than 100,000 tons of green-dyed horseradish that dominate budget sushi chains. This extreme scarcity has driven the price of authentic wasabi in high-end restaurants to 50 to 100 times higher than the industrial substitute, making it one of the most expensive agricultural products in the culinary world. To understand why wasabi is considered one of the most difficult crops to grow in the world, so difficult that the BBC once called it a farmer's nightmare, we must begin our journey in Shizuoka Prefecture, Japan. This region is often regarded as the capital of wasabi. Yet paradoxically, despite its reputation, the annual production here remains extremely limited. The reason lies in the plant's demanding natural requirements, conditions that are almost impossible to replicate. If you usually think that most spices can grow with fertile soil, a little sunlight, and some irrigation, wasabi is different. This notoriously picky plant will only grow when its roots are constantly surrounded by flowing spring water. And on top of that comes the most critical requirement. The water must be nearly perfectly pure and stable throughout the year. For this reason, the optimal cultivation method is known as sawa wasabi, which involves growing the plants directly in carefully controlled natural streams. The water used here is not tap water or artificial irrigation. Instead, it comes from rain and melting snow in the surrounding mountains, slowly filtering through layers of volcanic rock for years before emerging as spring water. By the time it reaches the wasabi roots, the water has passed through a natural filtration system so effective that many modern water treatment plants would envy it. The result is crystal clear spring water containing almost no harmful microorganisms and only a very light mineral content, just enough to nourish the plant without damaging its delicate root system. Because the water travels underground, its temperature remains remarkably stable at around 10 to 15 degrees Celsius throughout the year. In some farms, the spring water is so pure that farmers can scoop it up and drink it directly. But for wasabi, clean water alone is not enough. The water must also flow continuously to supply dissolved oxygen to the roots. If the water becomes stagnant, oxygen levels drop rapidly and the roots can begin to rot within days. On the other hand, if the current is too strong, young plants can be uprooted. Growing wasabi, therefore, is essentially an art of controlling water flow, slow enough for the plants to anchor their roots, yet fast enough for the roots to breathe. In areas where the stream has a moderate slope and stable flow, farmers can plant wasabi directly along the banks, reinforcing the beds with natural stones. However, in steeper areas, or where the water flow fluctuates seasonally, they must construct stone terraces known as tatami ishi. These structures disperse the current and stabilize the water level around each cluster of plants. Thanks to this delicate balance of terrain, pristine water, and meticulous farming techniques, wasabi fields hidden beneath Japan's forest canopies have endured for centuries, quietly cultivating a small green condiment that is often considered the green gold of Japanese cuisine. After each harvest cycle, which lasts nearly 2 years, the gravel bed beneath a wasabi field no longer maintains its original structure. Fine sediment and minerals gradually accumulate in the tiny gaps between the stones, small spaces that play a crucial role in allowing oxygen to circulate around the roots. Once these gaps become clogged, water flow slows, dissolved oxygen levels drop, and the risk of root rot begins to increase. For that reason, the first step is always to completely drain the field. Farmers use specialized tilling machines to loosen the top layer of gravel to a depth of about 10 to 15 centimeters. The goal is not to plow the soil as in conventional farming, but rather to restore the porosity needed for water and oxygen to circulate naturally around the roots during the next growing cycle. Soon after, water is gradually reintroduced in a controlled manner. The water level is kept just high enough to lightly cover the field surface. When the gravel is disturbed, the remaining fine sediment rises and is carried away by the current. Farmers then use flushing pipes to remove the muddy residue section by section, ensuring that the accumulated debris is cleared without disturbing the layered structure beneath, an essential element that keeps the field's natural drainage system stable. As the water slowly becomes clear again, the final adjustments begin. The field surface is leveled using long grading boards, but the flatness required here is highly technical. The bed must maintain a microslope of roughly 1 to 3 millimeters per meter, just enough to keep the water flowing steadily without causing erosion or forming localized whirlpools. Once everything is complete, water is allowed to flow steadily through the field for several days as a final system check. Farmers carefully observe the water clarity, the direction of the current, and how the gravel surface responds. Only when all conditions reach a delicate balance, clear water, even flow, and no stagnant zones, is the field considered ready for another growing cycle that will last nearly 2 more years. From this point, the actual planting process truly begins. There is no rushing at this stage, because even the smallest mistake can affect the entire 18-24-month growing cycle that follows. Instead of placing the seedlings immediately, farmers first mark each planting spot by setting specialized plastic rings across the surface of the field. Each ring is spaced about 20 centimeters apart, roughly the width of an adult hand, forming a straight, evenly distributed grid across the entire bed. This spacing is close enough to maximize land use, yet wide enough to allow water to flow smoothly between plants without creating stagnant pockets or small whirlpools. Once the positions are set, the gravel inside each ring is carefully adjusted by hand to form a shallow depression about 3 to 5 centimeters deep. The seedling is then placed so that the root collar sits level with or slightly above the gravel surface, ensuring the roots remain fully exposed to the flowing water while avoiding burial in oxygen-poor conditions. Only when every planting hole is set at the correct depth, spaced properly, and surrounded by evenly distributed flowing water is the field finally considered fully planted and ready for the long growing cycle ahead. After nearly 2 years, the moment of harvest finally arrives, the time when patience is put to the ultimate test. What many people don't realize is that the part of wasabi we enjoy is not actually the root. It is the rhizome, a swollen stem that grows just above the root system. This is where the plant's signature pungent flavor is concentrated. The rhizome is crisp and extremely fragile, which is why harvesting cannot be mechanized and must be done entirely by hand. Farmers step directly into the cold stream water, carefully feeling for each plant and gently pulling it from the gravel bed without damaging the delicate rhizome. Even the smallest crack or scratch can break the thin outer skin, triggering oxidation enzymes that quickly turn the rhizome dark and rob it of its refined flavor. Once harvested, the first step is sorting and trimming, a process that requires almost obsessive precision. Using specialized knives, farmers remove the fine roots and aged outer skin, keeping only the central rhizome that meets strict standards for size and firmness. In fact, around 30% of the total harvest is typically discarded at this stage to ensure that only the highest quality rhizomes reach the market. This step is not merely cosmetic. Trimming helps keep the surface dry, preventing excess moisture from diluting the plant's characteristic heat, while also reducing the risk of mold during storage. Next, the prepared rhizomes enter the cleaning stage, a critical step for export. Instead of harsh brushing, farmers use high-pressure water jets designed specifically for this purpose. These streams are carefully calibrated to reach deep into the crevices of the rhizome, removing the fine layers of sediment accumulated during 2 years of growth, while preserving the delicate outer skin. If not cleaned thoroughly, remaining particles of mud can harbor bacteria that accelerate internal decay during transportation. From here, the wasabi is carefully packed into insulated foam containers. Each rhizome is placed neatly with enough space to prevent pressure or damage to its fragile structure. Under these carefully controlled conditions, the wasabi can maintain peak freshness for up to 72 hours. Preserving the moist texture and vibrant flavor that has traveled all the way from the clear mountain streams of Izu to the diner's plate. But before we experience the authentic flavor of fresh wasabi, it's worth taking a brief detour into the world of industrial horseradish processing plants, the substitute that has dominated the market for decades and allowed the global food industry to cut ingredient costs by up to 90%. Unlike wasabi, an extremely demanding plant that requires pristine flowing water and tightly controlled growing conditions, horseradish thrives in dry soil, grows quickly, and adapts easily to different environments. Structurally, horseradish roots are opaque white, larger, rougher, and covered with numerous side roots, quite different from the smooth rhizome of Japanese wasabi. While a mature wasabi rhizome typically weighs 150 to 200 grams, a horseradish root can grow several times heavier in roughly half the time. So what exactly is the secret behind this so-called fake wasabi? The bright green condiment we often mistake for wasabi in mass-produced tubes usually begins with horseradish powder. This powder is then blended with starch, mustard, and green food coloring to recreate the familiar color and texture. The result is a thick, smooth paste with a sharp heat that shoots straight up the nose, a direct chemical reaction caused by the high concentration of allyl isothiocyanate found in horseradish and mustard. This pungency is noticeably different from the flavor of real wasabi, which is cleaner, slightly sweet, and more delicate, spreading gently across the palate before fading quickly. From an economic perspective, the difference is even more striking. Premium fresh wasabi can cost anywhere between $100 and $300 per kilogram, while industrial horseradish powder may cost restaurant owners less than $2 per kilogram of finished product. This enormous price gap explains why most casual dining establishments rely on the substitute rather than serving the rare and expensive agricultural product that is authentic wasabi. Did you know that there was a time when cinnamon was not considered a spice at all, but a luxury on par with ivory, reserved exclusively for royalty and the elite? The most astonishing part is that at certain points in history, 1 kilogram of cinnamon was worth several months' wages for a laborer, simply because Europeans at the time had no idea where it actually came from. The tropical forests of South and Southeast Asia, including Sri Lanka, India, Vietnam, and Indonesia, are the regions that today still supply over 90% of the world's cinnamon production. For thousands of years, the true origin of cinnamon was deliberately concealed to preserve trade monopolies. And it was this very mystery that pushed humans out to sea, fueling long-distance voyages and the creation of transcontinental trade routes. In the cinnamon industry, things may look similar at first glance, but in reality there are two fundamentally different harvesting approaches, corresponding to two types of cinnamon and two very distinct end uses. With cassia cinnamon, the type most commonly used for ground cinnamon, the harvesting process is optimized for speed and volume. The tree is cut down once the trunk has fully matured, typically after 10 to 15 years of growth, and the worker then prees and strips the thick bark directly from the wood. Every step is aimed at a single goal: extracting as much bark as possible, as quickly as possible, to supply large-scale industrial production. The result is bark that is thick, hard, and aggressively aromatic, while the tree itself reaches the end of its productive life after just one harvest. But the story doesn't end there. Premium Ceylon cinnamon follows an entirely different logic. Ceylon cinnamon trees are slender, grown in clumps, and harvested while still young. Instead of cutting the tree down completely, the stems are cut at the base using a regenerative, coppicing method, allowing the root system to remain alive and send up new shoots. This is where the real difference begins to show. Thanks to this careful approach, a single Ceylon cinnamon rootstock can be harvested multiple times each year, with a productive lifespan of up to 40 years. The reward for that patience is exceptionally thin cinnamon quills, naturally rolling into dozens of delicate layers, releasing an aroma that is light, sweet, and clean, never harsh or overpowering. In simple terms, cassia delivers impact, while Ceylon delivers depth. And it is precisely this depth, something that cannot be rushed or mass-produced, that makes Ceylon cinnamon a true premium spice, small in size but high in value. Once delivered to the processing facility, the cinnamon branches are soaked in water tanks for at least 15 minutes to soften the fiber structure, remove surface impurities, and stabilize moisture levels. Once the cinnamon stems are ready, the moment that truly determines their value begins. The bark scraping stage is not just a processing step, but the clear dividing line between premium cinnamon and low-grade cinnamon, arguably more critical than cultivation or drying. The worker holds a specialized scraping knife with a short, curved blade sharpened at a very narrow angle, guiding the hand with millimeter-level precision, so the blade glides over the fragile inner bark, rather than chopping or cutting downward. This inner layer is typically only about 0.2 millimeters thick, so delicate that even a split second of excessive pressure will tear the bark and destroy its commercial value. After scraping, the thin cinnamon bark layers are processed immediately while still wet and stacked around a central core of bark to form a cinnamon quill. The reason is simple: each layer is only a few tenths of a millimeter thick. far too thin to hold its structure once dry. The worker selects bark strips with similar moisture levels and stacks them in an overlapping pattern along the grain to distribute shrinkage evenly. Typically, 8 to 12 layers are assembled, just enough to reach a standard thickness of about 3 millimeters, while creating a hollow structure that helps retain and lock in essential oils. Thanks to this technique, the cinnamon quill naturally curls as it dries, forming an even, lightweight, yet sturdy tube. If this step is skipped or done incorrectly, the bark will warp, crack easily, and is almost impossible to turn into premium cinnamon sticks. After being stacked, the cinnamon sticks enter a controlled drying stage. Instead of being exposed to direct, harsh sunlight, they are placed on multi-tier drying racks indoors or under covered shelters, where light is diffused and air circulates evenly. This process typically lasts around 7 days, depending on weather conditions. The goal is not to dry the cinnamon completely, but to reduce moisture content to about 10 to 12%, dry enough for storage while still preserving essential oils. During this period, the bark layers shrink slowly along the grain, causing the sticks to naturally curl into tubes. If drying happens too quickly, essential oils evaporate. If too slowly, the cinnamon can mold or warp. When done correctly, the cinnamon reaches a stable state and can be shipped thousands of kilometers by sea, while retaining its original aroma. Once drying reaches the required standard, the cinnamon is graded based on length, degree of curl, and the radius of each quill, key factors that determine the commercial value of every stick. After grading, the cinnamon enters the cutting stage, where the agricultural product begins to be standardized into a commercial commodity. Bundles of cinnamon are aligned and cut into standard lengths, typically ranging from 5 to 20 centimeters. Longer pieces are packaged in bulk for wholesale, while sticks shorter than 3 inches are distributed to the retail market. This stage demands decisive yet precise handling, as even a slightly misaligned cut can cause the thin bark layers to separate, making the stick lose its shape and drop in grade. Because of this strict requirement, cutting productivity remains limited. Each worker processes only a few dozen bundles per hour. In return, the finished cinnamon achieves uniform sizing and is fully prepared for packaging, shipping, and global export. After grading, a portion of the cinnamon is directed into the grinding process. Before grinding, the cinnamon is not processed immediately. Instead, its moisture content is checked and stabilized below 12% to prevent mold and ensure that essential oils are not altered during subsequent steps. Once this condition is met, the cinnamon enters a closed grinding system. The sticks are gradually broken down, passing through multiple stages of blades and rollers in an environment where the temperature is kept consistently below 40 degrees Celsius. Maintaining low heat is critical, because once cinnamon is ground into powder, its surface area increases dramatically, making essential oils far more prone to evaporation than in whole sticks. For this reason, freshly ground cinnamon powder is not left exposed. It is immediately sifted to remove coarse particles, brought to a uniform fineness, and then packaged and sealed right away. Leaving behind the cinnamon factories, where the warm, spicy aroma still lingers in the air, the next stop on our journey is Indonesia, a tropical nation with a hot, humid climate, fertile volcanic soils, and vast archipelagos stretching along the equator. These natural conditions are nearly ideal for nutmeg cultivation. Today, Indonesia accounts for around 60% of global nutmeg production, making it the most important center of this spice, often referred to as the fiery jewel of the spice world. Nutmeg is one of the very few spices whose harvest timing is determined entirely by the fruit itself. When fully ripe, the outer husk naturally splits open, revealing the nutmeg seed and the bright red, web-like aril wrapped around its core, the only signal that harvesting is allowed. Nutmeg trees can grow up to 15 meters tall, far beyond human reach. When the fruit reaches full ripeness, farmers use long poles fitted with a sickle blade at the tip to hook and pull the stem, causing the fruit to fall to the ground, where it is then quickly collected. Crucially, the harvest window for each fruit lasts only about 24 to 48 hours from the moment the husk begins to split. Any delay beyond that causes quality to decline rapidly. The pressure intensifies during the rainy season, when growers must inspect every tree daily, navigating slick trunks and constant threats from red ants and fire ants. With nutmeg, precision is not an advantage, it is a requirement for survival. After harvesting, the nutmeg fruits are gathered and thoroughly washed to remove soil, sap, and insects clinging to the surface. This seemingly simple step helps reduce the risk of fungal contamination from the outset and prepares the fruit for precise shelling in the subsequent stages. Once cleaned, the nutmeg is completely shelled by hand to extract its most important core, the nutmeg seed. This is the part that contains the highest concentration of essential oils, responsible for the spice's warm, pungent aroma and the depth of its flavor. During this process, the worker must also carefully remove the red aril, known as mace, a delicate, web-like layer that clings tightly to the seed. Mace is a spice in its own right and highly valued, but its fragility makes the task extremely difficult. A momentary lapse in pressure can tear the mace and easily damage the seed beneath. A small crack in the seed can reduce its commercial value by 40%, even though its outward appearance may remain almost unchanged. An intact nutmeg seed can retain its aroma for up to 4 years, while a scratched or damaged seed can lose its fragrance within just a few months. After separation, the two parts of nutmeg follow two different paths. The red aril, or mace, is shade-dried in well-ventilated conditions for several days to preserve its color and aroma. Meanwhile, the nutmeg seeds must be air-dried or gently dried for 4 to 8 weeks until their moisture content drops to a safe level. During this time, the hard shell naturally cracks open and the essential oils fully stabilize. Once the nutmeg seeds meet quality standards, they are gathered and given a final cleaning before entering the stage that ultimately defines their aroma, grinding. Unlike many other spices, nutmeg allows virtually no margin for error. Once temperatures rise above 45 degrees Celsius, key aromatic compounds begin to evaporate rapidly, causing the seeds to lose their fragrance even before they become powder. For this reason, the entire grinding process takes place in a sealed, temperature-controlled environment where speed is deliberately sacrificed in favor of preserving aroma. The seeds are ground through multiple stages until they reach a particle size of just 50 to 70 microns, finer than premium wheat flour, allowing the aroma to disperse evenly from the very first use. The powder is then sieved, quality-checked, and hermetically sealed to lock in essential oils and extend its aromatic lifespan. At this point, the journey of nutmeg is nearly complete. From a small fruit in the tropical forest to a refined spice capable of retaining its aroma for years, ready to appear in kitchens anywhere in the world. Known as the second most expensive spice in the world, after saffron, vanilla was once valued at the equivalent of a gold bar per kilogram. Yet vanilla is not merely a spice with an astonishing price tag, it is also a strategic ingredient underpinning the entire global industry of confectionery, beverages, and premium foods. With vanilla, harvesting is not simply about picking pods, it is a harsh race against time, humidity, and even other people. Its high value makes vanilla a constant target for theft, forcing many farms to accept the reality that around 10% of their annual yield disappears each year before the pods ever leave the field. Vanilla reaches peak quality only within a very narrow window of ripeness. Harvesting too early results in weak aroma, while being late by even a single day in humid conditions can cause mold and reduce the pod's value by up to half. For this reason, each vanilla pod is cut entirely by hand using a small knife, requiring speed paired with absolute precision, and is then immediately gathered and transported within the same day to prevent any uncontrolled fermentation from beginning. When the vanilla sacks arrive at the processing facility, they immediately enter a strict security control system. The entire site is surrounded by barbed wire fencing and monitored 24/7 by surveillance cameras to prevent theft. In their raw state, vanilla pods are hard, brittle, and almost entirely odorless. To awaken the latent aroma inside, the pods must undergo a hot water blanching step. This brief but precisely controlled heat treatment softens the pod structure while simultaneously halting natural growth. More importantly, it triggers a chain of enzymatic reactions within the pods, initiating the formation of the characteristic aromatic compounds. Among these compounds, vanillin is the dominant component, accounting for around 90% of vanilla's signature flavor profile. After blanching, the vanilla pods enter the sweating stage, during which they begin to turn a deep brown. This process reduces moisture, concentrates flavor, and allows vanilla's characteristic sweetness to develop. While still warm, the pods are placed into wooden boxes lined with multiple layers of blankets to retain heat for as long as possible. The boxes are then sealed for 48 hours. By the end of this stage, the pods have darkened significantly and are ready to move on to the drying phase. The drying process of vanilla takes place in two stages: sun drying and shade drying. This step is crucial for allowing the pods to fully develop their aroma and rich color. The vanilla pods are spread evenly on cloth and exposed to sunlight for 3 to 5 hours per day over many consecutive days, and are turned frequently to ensure even drying. During this process, skilled workers gently massage the pods to help release essential oils and intensify the aroma. However, the pods cannot be left in the sun all day, as vanilla must retain a certain level of moisture for its flavor to continue developing. After sun drying, the pods are covered and stored overnight, then returned to the sun the following day. After approximately 10 to 15 days of sun drying, the vanilla pods are moved to shade drying in a well-ventilated environment, where they remain for 2 months. After the drying process is complete, vanilla pods undergo strict grading based on length, flexibility, color, and aroma. Pods that meet quality standards are bundled into small groups and tied with twine to preserve their natural shape and prevent cracking during transport. However, not all dried vanilla carries the same value. Across total production, only about 20 to 30% of the highest quality pods are selected for refinement into natural vanilla extract, the most economically valuable product in the vanilla processing chain. The remaining pods are typically sold as dried whole vanilla or used for lower-grade flavoring applications. More striking still, in a global market with enormous demand for vanilla, around 95% of products labeled vanilla contain no real vanilla at all, relying instead on synthetic flavorings. This reality makes each properly cured natural vanilla pod not only rare, but a true concentration of time, craftsmanship, and months of patience. The pomegranate harvest season usually begins in September, when the fruits ripen into glossy crimson jewels hanging from the branches. In renowned growing regions like India and Afghanistan, each tree can yield up to 200 fruits, with an average output of over 25 tons per hectare. Harvesting is done entirely by hand to avoid cracking the delicate skin or bruising the seeds. Workers use sharp pruning shears, cutting only the stem, never twisting or pulling to keep the fruit fresh and beautiful. Ripeness is determined mainly by the color of the rind and the sound it makes when tapped. A perfectly ripe pomegranate shows a deep red hue with a slight golden tint near the stem, a smooth surface, and subtle ridge lines. When tapped lightly, it produces a low, resonant tone with a soft echo, while unripe ones sound dull and flat. Experienced pickers can tell the difference after just a few taps, an instinct honed through years of practice. Where the human ear and hand become the most precise ripeness sensors, technology has yet to replicate. Fruits that pass inspection are carefully placed into baskets lined with soft fibers, then quickly moved to shaded areas to prevent cracking from heat shock. Finally, they are washed, graded, and packed for export, most destined for Europe, where over 300,000 tons are consumed each year. Across the sunlit chicory fields of northern France, the grim beet harvester moves steadily forward, marking the start of the root harvest season. At the front, a set of counter-rotating steel discs slices cleanly through the thick green foliage, exposing the base of each plant. Immediately behind, the dual V-shaped lifting system closes gently around the stems, pulling the entire root from the soil in one smooth, fluid motion. The lifted chicory is carried along a spiral conveyor and vibrating mesh, which shake off the clinging soil before dropping the roots neatly into the rear holding tank. Under the bright autumn sun, the machine glides across the field with rhythmic precision, leaving behind soft, even furrows that stretch straight and perfect to the horizon. After harvesting, the chicory roots are transported to specialized indoor endive growing facilities, where every condition, from light and humidity to temperature, is carefully controlled. There, the roots are placed upright in hydroponic trays, with their tips facing upward and roots downward, nourished by a nutrient-rich solution maintained at around 18 degrees Celsius in total darkness. This absence of light prevents chlorophyll formation, giving endive its signature ivory white color. After about 1 month, when the endive buds grow to around 20 centimeters, the harvest begins. Workers gently lift the chicory roots from the hydroponic trays and place them into a root cutting machine. The machine automatically holds the base in place and slices off the roots cleanly, leaving only the tender ivory buds. Once separated, workers inspect each head by hand, ensuring no bruised leaves or broken ticks. The finest endives, tight, smooth, and pale with a slight yellow tint, are then arranged carefully into trays and moved to cooling rooms at 2 to 3 degrees Celsius to maintain crispness and freshness. Each processing line can handle thousands of endives per hour, combining mechanical precision with human craftsmanship, completing the transformation from raw chicory roots into one of Europe's most delicate and refined vegetables. For shiitake mushroom growers, the harvesting stage is the critical final step, where up to 70% of the product's market value is determined by the integrity of the mushroom cap. Even today, the process remains entirely manual. Harvesters grip the stem firmly and twist it gently in the opposite direction of its growth, applying just enough force for the whole stem to detach from the substrate without tearing the flesh or cracking the cap. A premium shiitake must have a rounded, dry cap and a firm stem, standards that ensure not only commercial quality, but also preserve freshness and the deep umami flavor, which concentrates mainly in the cap. After picking, the substrate blocks are kept moist and reused after about 14 days, each yielding 3 to 4 harvest cycles before nutrients are depleted. An average farm in South Korea can earn around $150,000 annually, a profit margin high enough to drive continued investment and expansion toward export markets. Yet, despite technological progress, human hands remain irreplaceable in this delicate chain, transforming discarded oak sawdust into one of the world's most prized mushrooms, renowned for its thick caps, rich aroma, and unmatched umami depth. In the world of agriculture, there is one remarkable plant, often called the fastest growing crop on Earth. It takes only a few days from seed to harvest: bean sprouts. Just 5 days after mung beans are soaked and kept in a humid, dark environment, the white, tender shoots begin to sprout all at once, forming dense layers that seem to grow almost overnight. The harvesting process begins when the sprouts reach the ideal height. Growers simply pour the entire tray of cultivated sprouts into a large water basin, where an automated washing line takes over. A circulating water system gently separates the bean husks and fine roots, while the cool water flow keeps the sprouts white, crisp, and unbroken. Once cleaned, the sprouts move onto a draining conveyor belt, which removes excess moisture before transferring them directly to the packaging area. There, workers perform a quick quality check and seal the packages immediately, without any intermediate steps. The entire cycle, from seeding to packaging, takes less than a week, making bean sprouts one of the most efficient and naturally rapid foods humans have ever cultivated. Did you know there's a soda that captured American taste buds 1 year before Coca-Cola was even created? That soda is Dr. Pepper, the result of a successful blend of 23 secret ingredients, originally formulated to mask the bitterness of medicine, transforming it into a fashionable soft drink that has endured for more than a century. The journey of every can begins in 10,000-gallon steel tanks at the historic Waco, Texas facility, the production site closely associated with the brand's iconic museum. To build the foundation for its 23 complex flavor layers, water first passes through a multi-stage filtration and reverse osmosis system, achieving near absolute purity before being combined with corn syrup and phosphoric acid. But the true key lies in the next step. The secret flavor concentrate is added in 2 separate stages to preserve the consistency of the signature formula. After being blended at a 5:1 ratio, the syrup mixture is rapidly chilled to 1.7 degrees Celsius, the ideal temperature that prepares the liquid to efficiently trap carbon dioxide molecules during the carbonation stage that follows. Taking advantage of this deep chilled state, the syrup stream is pumped into a saturation unit known as the carbocooler. Here, food-grade CO2 is injected directly into the liquid under high pressure. Because the mixture has already been cooled to a low temperature, the gas dissolves completely and remains stable within the liquid, creating the intense effervescence and signature burst of fizz released the moment the can is opened. To maintain this saturated state, the finished beverage is sent directly into high-speed filling lines. Glass bottle lines can reach speeds of 500 units per minute, while aluminum can lines surge to as many as 1,500 cans per minute. The moment each container is filled, a sealing machine crimps the lid in an instant, locking in the internal carbonation pressure. Finally, robotic arms and automated conveyor systems stack the packaged drinks onto pallets with precise coordination, ready to deliver this legacy flavor to markets around the world. In 2024, Dr. Pepper made headlines by officially surpassing Pepsi to become the second best-selling soft drink brand in the United States, behind only Coca-Cola. However, domestic success does not automatically translate into global dominance. In many international markets, Dr. Pepper does not operate its own independent bottling network and instead relies on competitors such as Coca-Cola or Pepsi for production and distribution. This dependence, combined with its complex flavor profile balanced between cherry notes and herbal undertones, has made Dr. Pepper a peculiar force in the soda industry. Deeply rooted in Texas, dominant among the loyal American consumer base, yet still a selective and niche presence on the global consumption map. Arriving 8 years after Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, originally formulated as a digestive aid, accelerated rapidly into a global empire, generating more than $90 billion in annual revenue. But have you ever taken a sip of Pepsi and wondered, what truly sets it apart from Coca-Cola? And why has this giant remained strong despite entering the cola flavor war as a late challenger? The journey of every can of Pepsi begins with groundwater drawn from the Oligocene geological layer, an ancient source known for its exceptional natural purity. However, to meet the demands of high-speed production lines, the water must still undergo a rigorous technical purification process. First, quartz sand filtration tanks remove all suspended impurities. Immediately afterward, reverse osmosis (RO) technology operating under extremely high pressure forces the water through ultrafine membranes measuring just 0.0001 microns, smaller than a bacterial cell. This stage completely eliminates minerals and microorganisms, transforming the water into a chemically neutral solvent. Returning the water to this state of absolute neutrality is a mandatory standard. It creates the ideal foundation for blending with syrup concentrate, ensuring that every can of Pepsi, anywhere in the world, maintains a nearly identical flavor structure. Once the water base has been fully standardized, it is directed to the storage area housing the most critical ingredient, concentrated syrup. From sealed holding tanks, the syrup concentrate is pumped into the blending section and transferred into large-capacity stainless steel vessels. Here, automated dosing systems combine the concentrate with purified water and sweeteners according to pre-programmed ratios. Mechanical agitators and flow sensors ensure the mixture reaches complete uniformity before moving on to the next stage. To create its signature sweetness, the facility uses liquid sweeteners. In the United States, typically high fructose corn syrup, while many international markets rely on cane sugar syrup. In a standard 330 milliliter can of Pepsi, the sugar content generally ranges between 35 and 39 grams, equivalent to roughly 9 to 10 teaspoons. In terms of acidity structure, Pepsi primarily uses phosphoric acid, similar to many other cola beverages. However, the calibrated balance between sugar, acid, and flavoring components produces a rounder sweetness, smoother finish, and less dry aftertaste compared to competitors within the same segment. However, sweetness is only half of the story. The other half lies in the burst of refreshment released the moment the can is opened, a sensation determined by the cooling and CO2 saturation process. After physicochemical standardization, the mixture is sent into a carbo-cooler system, where it is rapidly chilled to 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. At this stage, food-grade CO2 is injected under high pressure, forcing the gas to bind tightly within the liquid structure before moving on to the filling stage. Pepsi typically maintains a carbonation level of 3.5 to 4.0 volumes. This means that each liter of liquid contains nearly 4 times its own volume of dissolved gas under standard conditions. This parameter is precisely calibrated to generate fine, sharp bubbles that deliver the signature tingling sensation on the tongue and maintain a lively effervescence even when poured over ice. Immediately afterward, the entire product stream moves directly into the rotary filling carousel within a sealed environment. Isobaric filling technology allows PET plastic bottles to be filled without excessive foaming, preserving the precise level of carbonation that was just infused. Instantly, high-speed capping machines seal each bottle with calibrated pressure. At speeds reaching up to 1,500 bottles per minute, that means 25 finished bottles of Pepsi leave the filler every second. But before officially exiting the production line, technicians randomly collect samples for laboratory analysis, rechecking Brix levels and actual carbonation pressure. At the same time, defect detection systems equipped with X-ray scanners and optical sensors inspect every bottle. Any unit with a liquid level deviation of just 1 to 2 millimeters or a slightly misaligned cap is automatically ejected from the line without hesitation. Finally, approved bottles are grouped into multi-packs and pass through a 180 degrees Celsius heat tunnel. Here, shrink film tightly conforms to the surface, forming a stable transport unit that protects the product from physical impact. This process ensures an optimal shelf life of 6 to 9 months for PET plastic bottles and up to 1 year for aluminum cans, thanks to the metal's superior resistance to light and oxygen penetration. From this point, tens of billions of Pepsi products leave factories each year and flow into a vast global distribution network. Although present in more than 200 countries, the United States remains the company's core market, contributing more than half of the corporation's total revenue.